Let's talk about three words today. Bring back shame. Shame is not a word that we hear about these days. All we hear is nobody can judge me and don't body shame this one and don't insert word shame this one. We have turned into a culture that has no shame, and we wear that as a badge of honor. And I say, make shame great again. Make shame great again. Welcome back to Before You Do with Verlyn. I'm your favorite premarital coach and the auntie you didn't know you needed. And let me paint a picture for you. Imagine me as a little girl growing up in the city of Washington, D.C. It was common to walk up and down Georgia Avenue, which was a main thoroughfare, to get back and forth to school and the library. And of course, like most major cities, you had to pass liquor stores, corner stores, arcades, carryouts, all those places, right, that are common in the city. As a young lady, I remember passing men as I was walking, and they were hanging outside of the liquor store. And whenever I approached, if they had a cigarette, they would put it behind their back. If they had a can or a bottle of liquor, it was in a brown paper bag, but they would still hide it behind their back. And they did it because they didn't want me as a little girl to see it, okay? When I went into the corner store, if there was some men that were making purchases, walking around or whatever, and let's say one of the men said a curse word, and then he saw me, he would say something like, "Oh, excuse me," or he would nod and say, "Hey, I shouldn't have said that." Or maybe the other adult would correct him and say, "Don't say that in front of that little girl," right? The other adult would scold the adult for cursing, and then that person would apologize. I could go on and give so many examples of how the adults had shame. Even in front of the children, they cared about how we viewed them, even though they were the adult. So even if a man who was sloppy drunk was out in the street when I was walking by, he would even duck out of sight so he wouldn't be seen by me. Even in his drunken stupor, there was still a level of shame. As far as the women, unless they were on the beach, they were dressed and mostly covered. Back then, they had style and class and flair. They were women that a young lady like me would look up to for the most part. Growing up in the city and being outside a lot, catching buses and walking, it was only on a rare occasion that young ladies wore short shorts. We called them booty shorts back then for obvious reasons, right? And if we saw someone, one of our friends or a neighbor, we would call them out. We would have conversations like, "Oh my goodness, look at what she's wearing." We will not be caught dead or alive in booty shorts, right? That was a cultural violation. It was a known fact that little brown girls did not wear those booty shorts. And if you did, you stood out, okay? Other races did, and I'll leave that right there. I'm not going into that, okay? What I'm saying is we had a healthy degree of shame. The men standing outside of the liquor store hid the liquor and the cigarettes because they felt some shame. First of all, they were in the streets in the middle of the day, not working while I was walking home from school. No jobs, just hanging out, but they did not wear that as a badge of honor. When the adults were busted for cursing in front of young people, they didn't wear that as a badge of honor either. They felt ashamed because they did not want young people repeating the same words. They actually cared. And even though they had bad behavior, they did not want to perpetuate it. All right? How have we, as a culture, plummeted into this abyss of such shameful behavior? No cultural conviction, no collective class or dignity, just the I don't give a crap attitude. Sadly enough, Like I said before, we may have to take an L on this generation, although I hope I'm wrong. But this generation of women in particular just choose to proudly parade in public spaces like the Houston rodeo, which I'm sure we all are hearing about, in shorts that show their butt cheeks. I hope I can say this here on YouTube. To move in such a despicable and lewd way. No shame. And I'm certain that women will be offended by this. And that's good. I'm a woman and I'm certainly offended by what I see. So that'll make two of us. Okay. Bring shame back. In saying all of this, moving forward, what do we do as a culture? All right, as a people, because I don't like to just talk about the issue or the problem at hand, but what are some actionable steps that we can take? Well, we can teach our little girls, our budding teens and tweens, our teenagers, that being a lady is a good thing. It is a real goal. Having virtue and poise is what our culture should be about. As parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, guardians, turn off the TV, turn off the ratchet music, turn off the ratchet videos. Stop leaving our girls to the streets to be raised by whores and unhealed women. Teach them to value themselves. Let them know that their bodies are a rare treasure to be hidden and discovered by only the one who has the map and the tools to find her. I hope you're catching what I'm saying. Teach them that certain behaviors are indeed shameful. Walking around half naked is shameful. Not caring about how you display yourself in public spaces is shameful. Not caring about your culture, your collective, and your community is shameful. Not having community ethics is shameful. Thinking you can do whatever you want to do without accountability is shameful. Bring back shame. Teach your daughters and your granddaughters and your nieces, goddaughters, whoever. Teach them to care. Teach them that it is vital that they hold themselves together and have dignity, self-respect. And not just teach them, show them that way. Treat them like ladies. So something that we need to check is buying our little girls clothes that are too grown and too revealing. And here's the thing. Just because they make that in a size 6, it doesn't mean your 6-year-old daughter should be wearing that. Okay? Let me say it again. Just because they make it in a certain size that a little person can wear, it doesn't mean that that's what they should be wearing. Let's use some wisdom here. If we start dressing them like little streetwalkers and women of the night, that's how they're going to dress as grown women. We set the standard at home by what we say yes to and what we say no to. Y'all need to check that. Grandma, if your daughter's dressing your grandbaby like a streetwalker, you need to check that real quick. Again, it doesn't matter what size it comes in. They shouldn't be wearing certain things. In case you don't know, the fashion industry is so perverted, they do not care about our babies. It's about the money. And that's why children have parents and grandparents that should be in a position to exercise a level of judgment and common sense. We need to shut this foolery and debauchery down with this up-and-coming generation. A couple of days ago, I was chatting with a friend, and we both made mention that we learned as young ladies that the rule was wear clothes that fit just enough to show you're a woman, but not so tight that you're not a lady. It makes a lot of sense. We're not saying you should just go around with some frumpy clothes on, not looking attractive, but be a lady. Teach our girls, be ladies. We need to start teaching that in addition to living that, because if we are telling our daughters and our granddaughters to dress like ladies, to dress with some class, to cover yourselves, to have some dignity, and then we go out and we address ratchet, we're not setting the example, okay? So we need to be the change that we want to see, right? Isn't that what Michael Jackson said? He talked about the man in the mirror. Change your ways. If you want to make the world a better place, look at yourself and make the change, right? One of my favorite songs by him. If we don't teach this up and coming generation, I fear that they'll be walking outside in some socks and that's it. And they'll say, don't judge me. Don't shame me. No shame, no cultural conviction. They say each one teach one, but we're at the point now where each one needs to teach about 3, 4, 5, or 6. We must redeem the time. We must redeem the time. We have to save our daughters. Where is our community going to be in 5 to 10 years if we don't turn this thing around? We have to save our blossoming women. Let's hold each other accountable. Our culture is at stake. I'm looking out here, and I have 3 unmarried sons. One is a full-grown 30-plus-year-old adult. My twin sons are going on 18. And I'm saying, what in the world is out here? Where are the wives, the women that have the mindset to gird your loins and hold yourself together? Malcolm X said, and I quote, "The mother is the first teacher of the child. The message she gives the child gives the world." That's a powerful statement. Let me say it again. Malcolm X said, "The mother is the first teacher of the child. The message she gives the child gives the world." The question is, what are we teaching our children? What message are we teaching our children when they watch these ratchet videos and these artists and these reality shows and everything else that social media entails? What are we teaching our children? What are we living in front of our children? Looking out at what I see, we must change our collective narrative or we are cooked. But I'm not giving up yet. I believe we can make a difference. But I believe it is going to take some hard work to make this happen. But we can do it. We can do it. Let's rethink how we are training our young ladies, our teenagers, our girls. Let's make shame great again. Bring back shame. Thank you for joining the conversation. Please hit the like and subscribe button and make sure you share this out with women that you care about. Share this out with your nieces. Share this out with your granddaughters, with these teenagers. Let's get the word out. All right. Also, remember to visit my website, verlyntarleton.com. And in the meantime, may you experience extraordinary love. Bye for now.